Hi, everybody. Welcome to the OnStage Blog Theater podcast. And we like to wish you all a happy new year. Hope you had a great holidays. And we have a special episode of the podcast for you today. We are going to be talking about the upcoming Broadway season and our feelings and what we are excited about, maybe not as excited about. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and see what you are anticipating. And I'm theater critic Rachel Wagner, and Jacqueline Collier is here.
Hi, 2025. We made it.
Woo! Yeah, it's hard to believe. We're 25 years into this century. How did that happen?
It's so crazy because I remember having a party for Y2K
Yeah.
and it's just bizarre being like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
here we are 25 years later.
It's true. It really is.
I felt like
Yeah.
2025 always sounded like the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No,
oh, we're gonna
it's
be having
true.
cars.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, technology. It hasn't been as exciting as I think we all thought.
No, although you know
No,
what? It's nice to be able to just get on the internet and talk to you rather than waiting for the dial-up
that's
connection to
true.
your face. But you're right, there aren't. I don't see any flying cars outside my window.
Yeah, hoverboards have not progressed the way that we hoped.
No, no. The way that Back to the Future would have led us to believe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, well, we have an exciting group of new shows that are going to be coming to Broadway. And I mean, how do you sort of feel about the last season that we just had? Of course, we had some pretty high profile shows not last long, as is always the case, but for Tammy Faye and for Swept Away, those were the biggest high profile. I mean, do you have any thoughts kind of about that, about the state
Al-
of
Although Swept Away, it's like, okay, they got extended. Maybe they'll get extended again. Like, who knows
maybe?
what happened?
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Some high profile shows I mean, Tammy Faye, I'm shocked. There was so much hype behind that.
Yeah.
Um, Not only like in people wanting to see it, but I had so many friends that auditioned for that. None of them booked it, but so many friends that auditioned for that it was just, I've been hearing that being talked about for so long.
Yeah.
I think that it was a really interesting and solid season on Broadway, both with new shows, but also like with revivals, like Our Town is back and all these other things that, we got
Yeah.
to see this year. Um, I'm excited to see where 2025 is going to take us because Broadway is such an interesting beast. Like a lot of the most interesting theater, in my opinion, is being done regionally and off Broadway. And Broadway has so much to offer, but you never know what's going to hit and what is going to miss in terms of
Yeah.
audiences and what actually stays. How do you
It
feel?
does seem like a shame that these shows aren't allowed to like find an audience given a little bit more time. But I mean, that's also not new. I mean, and there have been shows that have closed after opening night, in the past. So
I have a friend that I worked with on a show. Her name's Michaela, and she was in a Broadway show years ago. Like before I knew her, and she's a little bit older than us. And it did one performance.
oh wow.
Like, can you
Yeah.
imagine? Like, oh,
I
I was on
can't
Broadway, so that's
imagine.
cool. But
Yeah. Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. But there is what's the show with Darren Chris, the Happy Ever
Maybe happy
After.
ending.
Happy ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to have really hit, it's selling out. And then of course you have you have hits like The Outsiders and shows like that that are really finding an audience. So it's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm seeing maybe happy ending at the end of January. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what I um think of it. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll love it. It seems like people are really, really liking it.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. And let us know what you think about these shows. I think with Tammy Faye, I think it just I mean, I've heard it's not that great, but also I think it got a little unlucky as far as coinciding with the election
Yeah.
and a show about a prominent conservative. Probably just it was a little bit bad timing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's not something that people were like, I need to see this right now. And yeah, it's curious. It's not something that I ever was really interested in seeing. I'm not really that interested in that story, you
Yeah.
know? It's just not
Yeah.
for me.
So we're not sure exactly when this is going to air. So if there's new announcements or updates on these shows that we're going to talk about, we're recording this on the 18th to try to get ahead of kind of the holidays and everything of December. And so if you're listening, you're like, wait, why aren't they talking about this? Then you know, please
Yeah,
forgive us.
we're in a time machine. We actually haven't made it to 2025 yet. So hopefully
Yeah.
we
All right, well, let's dive in. Let's talk. We're going to give it our anticipation score between a 1 and a 4. How excited we are for this particular show. And first one we're going to talk about is All In, comedy about love. The first preview is December 11th and it opens December 22nd. This stars John Mulaney, Fred Armisen, Renee Elise Goldsberry, Chloe Feynman, Richard Kind, writer Simon Rich, and it says a series of comedic stories about love performed by a rotating roster of comedy icons. So this is interesting. Short stories by Simon Rich to Broadway. That is going to it's a rotating group of 4. First 5 weeks will be John Mulaney along with Fred Armisen, Renee Elise Goldsberry, and then Richard Kind, Chloe Feynman will join January 2nd and perform through the January 12th. And the work comprises stories about dating, heartbreak, and marriage, all adapted from short stories that were published in the New Yorker. What do you think about this?
So I have two friends that just saw this because one of the friends worked with Alex Timbers, who directed this, and he went in for it a couple times but didn't book it. And they said it was great. But some of the buzz around this already is that people are upset that the actors are on book because it's storytelling. Like they're reading it, but it's very clearly very well rehearsed, and that's part of the convention of it. I'm excited about this. I have a friend who's coming into town from Pennsylvania, and we're going to see it when Lin-Manuel's in it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Oh, he's in it.
Yeah, yeah, or he's supposed to be. Um,
Oh,
so it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. I heard John Mulaney is fantastic in it. This isn't normally the kind of thing that I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so intrigued by, but a lot of great talent in it. And it sounds interesting and it sounds different. So I would
yeah.
say anticipation wise. Oh yeah, what is
One to
the
1 to 4.
1 of 4? Anticipation wise for me, this is like a 2.2. Like I'm going because my friend wants to go,
Uh,
but it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like it'll be good. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. How about you? What are you feeling for this
well,
one?
the fact that they're about love, that's sort of more intriguing. Like it might be kind of rom-commy.
Yeah.
And the whole concept, I that's interesting that they're on book. But as I always say, funny saves all. So if they're funny, then and it you figure it's got to be like a little bit funny if it attracts
Yeah.
all these like super funny people
Yeah,
to
exactly.
be
Yeah.
in it.
Funny saves all.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. I think there's no way this is not going to be funny.
Yeah. So I would give it a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3. And so that's interesting. Okay, then we have English, and I think that I swear I feel like I swear I feel like we previewed this before, so I don't know if I got delayed, but anyway, English it's called, and in this is this Sanaz Tosi's Pulitzer Prize winning play premieres on Broadway after an off Broadway run. So maybe that's what we
Yeah.
previewed before. This is at the Roundabout, and it first preview is January 3rd, opening January 23rd. That's my birthday. It opens. Inspired by real events, the playwright's fictionalized doppelganger leads protests against yellow face casting Miss Saigon, but then mistakenly casts a white actor as the Asian lead in one of his own plays. directed by Lee Silverman. And what do you think about this?
This is 100% a four for me. This is one of the things I'm looking forward to most in the year. Sanaz is a playwright who wrote one of my favorite plays ever, called Wish You Were Here. And it had an incredible off-Broadway run. One of the most moving plays I've ever seen. So I've been following her and her journey on social media, and it missed English when it was off Broadway, and I cannot wait to see this.
Oh.
I am like vibrating with excitement. It's definitely a four for me. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, in your enthusiasm makes me more excited. I mean, and it's always a good sign when something gets the bump from
Yes.
off Broadway because people liked it, and it has a good buzz. So yeah, I mean, I think I'd give this like a 3.5.
Yeah.
Sounds intriguing. Sounds
Yeah.
intriguing. Okay, next we have Redwood. This premieres January 24th and opens February 13th. And of course, stars Idina Menzel as Jessie, a successful businesswoman, mother, and wife who seems to have it all, although her heart is broken. At a turning point, Jessie leaves everyone behind, gets in her car, and drives to the ancient forest of Northern California, where a chance meeting and a leap of faith change her life forever. So this is evidently was conceived by Idina with director let's see here with director Tina Landau. This was conceived by Idina with director Tina Landau, and she's going to be the lead. And I'm so thrilled to be returning to Broadway. The fact that I get to do it with Redwood, a musical that means so much to me, makes it even more special. This show has lived in my bones for 15 years from the very first time Tina and I discussed working together. Finally getting to do it on Broadway is really a dream come true. So, what are your thoughts?
Idina Menzel is an absolute star. Uh, we've talked about it a little bit when we were previewing the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Before I say this, I'll just say this. When someone is so passionate about something, especially someone whose work has been so impactful, it's hard not to feel some of that excitement. So sure. With that being said, this is really just not for me. This is
Yeah.
not the kind of thing I want to see. You and I were both not loving the song that we saw at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which I get is just one small sliver of this. But like, nature's beautiful, but seeing a musical about it going into the I'm not intrigued. I'm gonna give it like,
Yeah.
oh, like I'm gonna give it a 1.5 because Idina Menzel is great and I know that people will love this. I just am not particularly interested.
Well, yeah, I agree. I did not love that song at the parade. It just did not work for me at all. But it's like it's hard not to root for an original musical starring Idina Menzel that obviously she's so passionate about. But yeah, I just going off of that song, I just didn't love it, and I disliked it, and so yeah, I agree with you. I 1.5, but I hope it'll be maybe it'll be amazing.
People will love it.
Yeah.
We just might not be those people.
We might not, and we might be surprised. We haven't seen it, so what do we know? All right. Next, we have Operation Mincemeat. This the Next we have Operation Mincemeat. This starts previews on February 15th and opens March 20th. Stars David Cumming, Claire Marie Hall, Natasha Hodgkins, Jack Malone, and Zoe Roberts. Director Robert Hasty. And it's the acclaimed Olivier Award-winning musical about an outrageous covert operation in World War II comes to Broadway. And it is played in London's West End for 2 years and counting. So yeah, this is interesting because it certainly had a mixed run of shows transferring from the West End. Obviously, there's some very popular ones like Six, did very, very well. Others like Tammy Faye or even, I mean, Sunset Boulevard has done well financially, but critically, it didn't do as well as it did over there. And the Cabaret revival, which also has done well financially, but not as well critically, things like that. It hasn't been, the audiences are not the same, quite the same. The critics certainly aren't the same.
Yeah, th- I actually have a feeling that this will be really good, and I can see this being something again that like people love. This is just not really something I'm particularly intrigued by. Um, Caper musical, World War II. I know that for people who that's their thing, they're going to be like, oh, and I'm sure it's very well done. Yeah, for me, it's just like not really.
Uh,
I'm that excited about seeing. If someone gave me a free ticket, would I go? Absolutely. Am I going to buy a ticket to this? No,
mm,
I'm not. How are you feeling?
yeah. Um, I don't know. It depends on if it delivers on the laughs.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is it funny?
Mhm.
It says it's composed. The musical is written and composed by comedy group Split Lip, and they says here Operation Mincemeat explores the true story of secret military operation meant to turn the tide of the war, with the Allies losing. The British military develop an idea to use the well-dressed corpse of a homeless man to feed Hitler and his advisors incorrect information. And so, yeah, that sounds like it sounds interesting. But yeah, it'll just depend on whether it's funny
Yeah,
or not.
100%.
It'll just depend. But I'd probably give it a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, we have the Buena Vista Social Club, and this starts previews February 21st and it opens March 19th. Natalie Venetia Belkin, Julio Monge, Melly Samay, and its director Sahim Ali. The musical, based on the legendary Grammy award-winning album, comes to Broadway after premiering at Off Broadway's Atlantic Theater Company. Inspired by the Grammy-winning 1997 album of the same name, Buena Vista Social Club features a book by Marco Ramirez. The musical brings the album to life and tells the story of the legends who lived it. So, what do you think about that?
Um, I'm really excited about this one. My friend Ashley De La Rose is playing young Haiti in this, and she's very talented. I'm really intrigued by this story. Um, I'm definitely planning on seeing it. Maybe we can even have her on the podcast. I think that'd be really fun to have her on and talk about her
Oh, that'd
experience
be
with
cool.
it. I would say I'm giving this one a 3.8, only because I can't really give anything else a 4 because English is what I'm the most excited about and
Uh,
it's like off the charts. But this one's a really strong 3.8 for me. I think it's going to be really great. I'm excited to see her. So yeah, this one is definitely on my list this year. How do you feel
So
about
this album in 1997, it was a musical ensemble primarily made up of Cuban musicians formed in 1996. So that's what this is, this album that was released in 1997. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like this could be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you hear things and you're like, oh, yeah, it's like the same thing with Redwood, and we're just like, nope. Whereas some people, it's like, yes, that's my thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd probably give this like a 3.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then we have Othello. This starts previews on February 24th, opens March 23rd, stars Denzel Washington, Jake Gyllenhaal, Molly Osborne, director Kenny Leon. Denzel Washington will play Othello, and Jake Gyllenhaal will play Iago in Shakespeare's tragedy of jealousy and deception. I mean, I don't know how you don't give this a 4. I mean, it, I, unless you just don't like Shakespeare.
I don't like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, you don't like Jake Gyllenhaal? Wow, hot take.
Look, look. No, that's not quite true. I met Jake Gyllenhaal in the subway once, and let's say we had a weird interaction that was my fault. I will say that it was all my fault. I will take responsibility for that. That being said, I'm not interested in seeing his Iago. I feel like he's going to be all like villainy and like not really bring. I think an actor can bring really interesting things to Iago, and I don't think Jake Gyllenhaal is going to do that. Now, Denzel Washington's Othello. Are you kidding me? Yes. So I am going to give it, because it's not English, I am going to give it a 3.9 because Denzel Washington as Othello. Are you kidding me? I don't care what Jake Gyllenhaal is doing. He can, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, but you're giving it a 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah. All right. Then we have Purpose. This is director Felicia Rashad, and it's Latanya. This stars. Oh, it opens. So this opens February 25th, and so this starts previous February 25th, opens March 17th. It's directed by Felicia Rashad, Latanya Richardson Jackson, Harry Lennox. This is Brandon Jacobs Jenkins' latest play, arrives on Broadway after its sold out premiere in Chicago. It follows the fictional Jasper family, who for decades have been a pillar of Black American politics, civil rights leaders, pastors, and congressmen. But like all families, there are cracks and secrets just under the surface. When the youngest son, Nazareth, returns home to Illinois with an uninvited friend in tow, the family is forced into reckoning with itself, its faith, and the legacies of Black radicalism. So, what do you think?
Yeah, this one's so up my alley. 3.9 for sure. I love this playwright. He wrote Appropriate and Octoroon. Um, yeah, Brendan Jacobs Jenkins is a fantastic playwright. So directed by Felicia Rashad. This plot also sounds really interesting to me. So yeah, this is a 3.9 for me. I think this one's going to be really fantastic. How do you feel
Mm.
about this one?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds intense.
Yeah.
Like family drama is not my favorite. This kind of conflict, it just stresses me out. But like if it's well done and it sounds good. I'd probably give it a 3.
Yeah, should I take you on a double header to August Osage County in this?
Yeah,
Just
right.
7 hours of family drama where you leave being like, okay, I need a musical to cleanse my palate.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that.
Okay, Glengarry Glen Ross. This previews March 10th and opens March 31st. It stars Kieran Culkin, Bob Odenkirk, Bill Burr. Oh my gosh, Michael McKean. Incredible cast. Director Patrick Marber, of course, by David Mamet. David Mamet's classic play about cut-through real estate agents returns to Broadway this spring. I don't know how you're not a 4 on this one. I mean, this cast, and I mean, I love things about work and the why we work and the tension and everything. So yeah, I give it a very high preview.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Glengarry Glen Ross, fantastic play, stacked cast. I'll give it a 3.9 just because I'm reserving my 4 only for English.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I think this is going to be really, really great. I mean, it's what
Yeah.
some of these shows this season are like, oh, we are so lucky to have that coming to Broadway, to have that coming to the stage.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have The Picture of Dorian Gray, and this is it stars Sarah Snook. And the first preview is March 10th. It opens March 27th. And it opens March 27th. Director and writer Kip Williams, Emmy Award winner Sarah Snook plays 26 characters in this adaptation of Oscar Wilde's classic novel. So it's a one-woman show. What do you think about that?
Sarah Snook's very talented. Um, I didn't really watch Succession though. And
I mean, we got a double header Succession. Kieran Culkin
yeah,
and that was Sarah Snook. Now going to
coming
Broadway.
exactly. For me, I think as an actor, watching someone do the feat of a one-person show is incredible, and it's a masterclass in acting, and I think that she will be excellent. But there's a difference for me between watching a masterclass in acting and actually being like, oh, I want to I'm really excited about this to go and have the experience of the theater. I think it's something that I'm like, oh, I could learn from, but I'm not actually that excited about this. I would give it a 2.5. It's like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be really good. I'm sure I've learned a lot, but it's not something that I'm like giddy about. How do you feel about this one?
think I've ever seen a show quite like this. I've seen some one person shows, but never somebody playing 26 characters. So it sounds, like most of the one people shows that I've seen are like I saw a play where a guy was playing Mark Twain, and
Yeah.
it was one person. I've seen
Yes.
things like that, but I can't think of anything quite like this that I've ever seen. So I'm intrigued in that way. But I agree with you. Like the picture of Dorian Gray, that sounds like a snooze. But
I know. Okay, I'm
you
glad you said it. I was
know.
thinking. I was like, okay.
But yeah. Okay, then we have Boop the Betty Boop musical. And this first preview March 11th, and it opens April 5th. Jasmine Amy Rogers, Faith Prince, in the cast writers David Foster, Susan Burkhead, the lyrics Bob Martin, the book, who did Drowsy Chaperone, it's really great. Director Jerry Mitchell, and this is of course based on the classic cartoon character by Max Fleischer. And let's see if we're getting more plot. This follows Betty as her dream of an ordinary day off from being a super celebrity in her black and white world leads to an adventure of color, music, and love in New York City, one that reminds her and the world you're capable of amazing things. What do you think about this?
I'm a little bit familiar with this because I had a couple of students who auditioned for the Little Betty Boop, like the not Little Betty Boop. Basically, Betty Boop meets this young girl, and that's part of the whole adventure. The sides were cute, and the song that the girl had to audition was really cute. None of them booked it, so I'm less excited to see it. But I would say yeah, for me, this isn't one that I'm like, oh yes, but I really thought that it at least the sides that I got to see um had a lot of heart. It was very sweet. So I would say this one's a 3 for me.
I'm very intrigued by this. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge animation fan, so this sort of merging of animation, and I'm just curious because it feels like an IP that nobody cares about. Like,
I know.
do people even know who, what? There's, maybe there's like an underground cult of Betty Boop that I'm not aware of, but so in a way that's intriguing to me because it's like, well, first of all, they must have had something to kind of, they must have something in order for it to get this far, you would
Right,
think, right? Because it's not going to be, it's not like it's not one of those things that could just be sold on just the IP alone,
right,
and it's so they can just photocopy it into a production. So there had to be something here, and like all these creative people, and it sounds like visually it could be really cool. And I've heard the dancing is really good in it. So I'm very intrigued about it. But I mean, if somebody just said, "Are you excited about Betty Boop musical?" I would be like, "No, not at all." But but the situation around it kind of intrigues me. I don't know. So I give it a 3.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then we have Smash, and this previews March 11th, opens April 10th. Stars Robin Herder and writers Mark Shaman, who did this Hairspray, Scott Whitman, lyrics, Rick Ellis and Bob Martin, book, director Susan Stroman, the stage incarnation of the TV series depicting the creation of the fictional Marilyn Monroe musical Bombshell. So yeah, I mean, I was not somebody who followed the show. It was like a time when I just didn't wasn't watching that much television when it came out, and so I haven't seen the show. We'll probably watch it to get ready for this, but I know it has a huge following. And this has Crystal Rodriguez also in it. So yeah, it's hard to not be pretty excited about this team and everything that's happening. What do you think?
I hated Smash. I'm not,
Oh yeah.
I hated it. Like
Uh-oh.
I thought it had such a toxic view of the entertainment industry and like the cutthroat competitiveness that like I just feel like not only for me but for anyone I interact with in the community, it's competitive, but not in the way they showed it. It felt so catty. I hated this show. I hated it with a burning passion.
Oh.
I will not be seeing this.
Oh, okay. So you're
But
like pretty
but
low.
to your point, I totally get the hairspray of it all, the team on it, just not content I'm going to see. I'm with
Yeah.
so many good things out there. No, it's not for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's like a 0.5.
Mm. I would probably give it a 3. Because I've never seen an episode of the show. So uh
Actually, really interested after you watch the show. Because the thing is, for me, I know that I'm swayed by it only because I really disliked the show. Because you're absolutely right with this team. Like, I would be way more excited about it. So I'm
yeah.
curious what you think of the show.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Okay, so then we have Good Night and Good Luck, and this stars George Clooney and writers George Clooney and Grant Heslov, director David Cromer. George Clooney will make his Broadway debut in a stage adaptation of his 2005 film about Edward R. Murrow's television crusade against Senator Joseph McCarthy. What do you think about this?
I think this will be great. I think George Clooney will be very interesting to see him on stage. Um, Not so much a historical drama girly with this particular kind of subject matter, but and I've never seen the film. I'm gonna give it like a 3.2.
Hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. It sounds like it could be interesting. I would be curious to see because he didn't play the Edward R. Murrow role in the movie. That was David Stratham who played Edward R. Murrow. So it'll be interesting to see his take on that then from compared to the movie, which he
Yeah,
directed. So yeah, I give it like a 2.5.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the last 5 years. This previews March 18th and opens April 6th, starring Nick Jonas and Adrian Warren, and writer Jason Robert Brown, of course, and director Whitney White. Jason Robert Brown's beloved musical about two New Yorkers falling in and out of love make its Broadway debut. So yeah, it was off Broadway before, so this is its Broadway debut. Yeah, I love this show. So
Love this. I mean, it's a great show. Adrienne Warren, I didn't get to see her, but she was Tina and Tina Turner. She's done so many incredible things. I'm not really a Nick Jonas girly, but maybe I will be after this. Plus the character of Jamie is insufferable anyway, so that kind of works. So I'm excited about this one. I'd say it's 3.6 for me.
yeah, I mean, I'm the only thing is I might have cast people a little bit younger to play these roles, but I mean it'll be fine on the theater.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I mean I give it a 4 because I love this show. So
Such a great show.
we have John Proctor is the villain. This starts previews on March 20th, opens April 14th, starring Sadie Sink, writer Kimberly Belflower, director Dana Tamor. New comedy about a high school English class questioning the classic play The Crucible. So what do you think about this?
I was actually just talking to a kid's manager about this the other day who had a bunch of girls who went in for, I think they did this at Huntington or they did this somewhere else before. This is supposed to be a really fantastic play. I'm really intrigued by it. The subject matter is intriguing to me. I cannot stand John Proctor. Like, I think he's lauded as this hero in the Crucible, and I think he's so obsessed with his name and like his legacy that he forgets about the people around him. I think he's full of himself. So I cannot wait to see John Proctor as the villain. I feel like this is like singing my song. This for me
Huh.
is probably 3.9. I'm really excited. How do you feel
Huh.
about
I mean, it's gonna be interesting because I mean, he is he is treated unfairly. I mean, this this woman lies, and so like it'll be interesting to see how they make that the villain. Like they'll have to show like he's somehow manipulating her instead of in the play she's the one manipulating him. So that's why you feel the way, and that's why things get crazy because it was uh this whole allegory to McCarthyism and the Red Scare and everything like that. It's like how they're going to take that political context
Yeah,
and make it into a modern context, and making the person who does these accusations into the hero as opposed to kind of the villain of the story.
right.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'd probably give it a 3. That
Yeah.
sounds interesting. And Floyd Collins, this previews March 27th, opens April 21st, starring Jeremy Jordan, Jason Gade, Sean Allen Krill, writers Adam Gutel from Light and Piazza, and Tina Landau. We talked about her before. Director Tina Landau, she's the one with Redwood. Lincoln Center Theater will present the Broadway debut of the award-winning off-Broadway musical based on the true story of a man trapped in a cave. Floyd Collins. It's the story of a cave explorer who discovers a cave he thinks could be the next gold mine tourist attraction, only to become trapped inside on his way out. Above ground, the scene becomes one of the country's first ever media circuses. So what do you think about this?
I just saw Jason Gate and Teeth, and he's so great. Jeremy Jordan's great. This is one of those that just doesn't really appeal to me though. It's kind of like the Redwood of it all. Also, like even though it's not the same thing, my grandfather's worked in the coal mines and one of them died in a coal mining accident. So anything that's like trapped underground like that or trapped somewhere uh is kind of upsetting for me. So for me, this is like a 2. I'm not really interested in seeing it, but what a team, what a cast. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, just because I really did love the Light in the Piazza. That this is what probably intrigues me the most about this. So I would give this a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3. Okay. We're almost done. Just in time, this previews March 28th, opens April 23rd, stars Jonathan Groff and the director Alex Timbers. Jonathan Groff plays beloved singer Bobby Darin in this new musical that transforms the theater into an immersive nightclub. What do you think?
I mean, fun. Yeah, I mean, this sounds really fun. Alex Timbers always does great stuff. I would say for me, this feels like I'm intrigued, but I'm not going to run to the theater, so it's like a 3 for me. How are you feeling on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very intrigued to see Jonathan Groff playing this role. I mean, I'm not like a big into Bobby Darin, so that doesn't like
Right.
draw me in
Photograp's
that
amazing.
way. Like I've nothing fine, but like it's more about him, I think, is the appeal. So, we'll see.
I mean, he's so good. And also
Yeah.
like everything I've heard about him and met him briefly once years ago, but everything I've heard, he's like so sweet, such a good person, and just like such a talent. Yeah, he's
Yeah. Yeah.
wonderful.
All right, our last one is Stranger Things The First Shadow. This previews March 28th and opens April 22nd. Sorry, Louis McCartney, Rosie Benton, and a bunch of other people. Directors Stephen Daldry and Justin Martin. The prequel to the hit Netflix series comes to Broadway after its Olivia Award winning run on the West End. What do you think about this?
I had a student audition for this too. I'm not into Stranger Things, but I know that they're gonna throw everything they've got at it. And I've heard the reviews of the West End one. Someone did like a complete breakdown of it because the script isn't available. Um, I think it'll be interesting. Not really my thing, but for people that are fans of Stranger Things and this sort of epic storytelling, I think it'll be a really, really exciting production. I would give it a 2.8 for me. What
It
about you?
says the play explores when Henry Creel first moves into Hawkins, Indiana in 1959, because the show's set in 1980s, following how he becomes the eventual ruler of the Upside Down. The play also features high school versions of Stranger Things characters Jim Hopper, Bob Newby, and Joyce Maldonado. That's the Winona Ryder character, Joyce Maldonado. The work premiered in London's Phoenix Theater in 2023. So it says here official sources are protecting spoilers by keeping mum on further plot details. So there you go. Yeah, it is interesting that we've had this sort of horror resurgence. We talked about Evil Dead the musical on an episode a couple of weeks ago, but Heathers, there's a bunch of other more horror themed shows, which I think is an interesting trend. And so yeah, this could either be really boring and mediocre, or it could be fun. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's just a play. It's not a musical, I don't think.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know.
yeah, no, I guess you're
I'm
right.
not seeing any I'm not seeing any lyric music or lyrics
Yeah.
people here.
I wonder
The
if it's
play. The
the,
play.
like the Harry Potter of it all, like that there's music maybe throughout,
Oh,
but it's not a musical.
yeah.
But I, it'll be interesting to see what this ends up being.
That I saw that. I mean, I just saw a high school version, not the on Broadway. It was so boring. I did not like it at all.
I
It was
again,
so long, and I'm like, like the fact that it's even longer. I just
I just miss certain pop culture things. Not a Harry Potter fan.
yeah,
Didn't really watch Friends. Like all these things that I missed, didn't do Stranger Things. So for me, when I see these coming to Broadway, I'm much more excited about like the last 5 years, English,
yeah,
Gary Glenn Ross. Like there's so many more things that are for me that I'm just like, why would I go see stuff that I'm not that interested in?
yeah. So I would give this one a
Fine,
2.
let's
I'd give
split.
it. I'd give this. I like Stranger Things, but just it could be a little boring. Is my worry, but I give it a 2. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So there we go. That is the preview of what's coming up to Broadway. It'll be interesting to see what lasts and what is a hit and what falls fast. It's always very interesting. So we'd love to know your thoughts of what you think about these different upcoming shows, what you're feeling. We'd love to hear what you think in the comment section, or you can follow us on Facebook and all other places that we have on Stage Blog Theater. And so check that out. All of our make sure you check out our playlist here with all our episodes. Got lots of fun stuff that we've talked about. And Jax, where can people find you?
Jacqueline Collier on Instagram.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over the place, including rachelsreviewstheater.com. So please check that out. And yeah, make sure you like the video if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. It really helps us a lot. And thanks again. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.